Hello, this is for Tuesday, part 2. The first part of Talmud took 46 minutes, so I'm going to do a shorter part for the Haggada Shel Pesach. I'm going to use the Haggada going forward. Avodah mayinu l'paro b'Mitzrayim, we were slaves to Paro in Mitzrayim. Vayetzienu Hashem Elokeinu misham, and Hashem took us out. So this is the answer, in short, to the child's questions. Why do we have symbols of sadness like matzah and moror, and symbols of freedom like dipping food and reclining? Because we're remembering the Avodah Mayinu, the slavery, and the Vayetzienu, the Exodus. Hashem took us out with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. V'yilu l'hotzei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if Hashem hadn't taken our ancestors out of Mitzrayim, we, our sons and sons of sons, would have been Meshubodim Mayinu l'paro b'Mitzrayim. Now, the simple meaning is we would have been enslaved. If Hashem hadn't taken us out, we would still be slaves. But there's another explanation. Maybe we wouldn't have been slaves, but Mishubodim also means indebted. If Hashem hadn't taken us out, but Paro would have let us out, or somebody else would have let us out, we would have been indebted to whoever let us out or took us out. But since Hashem took us out, Hashem says, Avodayhem, we are indebted to Him. And because we're indebted to Him, therefore we took a Torah and we were willing to accept to be God's people. So if He wouldn't have let us out, Mishubadim Hayinu, we would have been maybe not enslaved, but at least indebted. It says, Afilu kulanu chachamim, even if we're knowledgeable, we're smart, we're zekanim, elders, we know the Torah, there's a mitzvah still to tell the story of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Chalamar b'lesaper b'Yitzias Mitzrayim areza meshubach. The more you tell about Yitzias Mitzrayim, the more praised you are. There are a number of possible explanations to this. One is, whenever you do a mitzvah, if you do more of it, so you're more praiseworthy. It's called Amar b'lesaper b'Yitzias Mitzrayim. The more you'll tell, the more praiseworthy you are. The Dubno Maggid has a mashal. He says, for example, a parable that there was once a storm at sea, and there was a ship, and the ship was in danger of breaking up, and everybody would drown. Somehow a miracle happened, the wind blew in the right direction, and somehow the ship was blown to shore. When they came to shore, all the people came off the boat, and everybody was very grateful that their lives had been spared, and everybody stood and prayed to God. So some people, for instance, one man really had a miserable life. Things weren't going well, and he had all kinds of miseries and sadness, so he stands and he says, God, thank you very much for saving my life. I don't have a great life anyway, but better life than not life, so thanks a lot. There was somebody that stood there for hours and hours and hours and hours. And somebody asked him, wow, you really davened for a long time. How come? He says, I have a wonderful wife, I have wonderful children, I have grandchildren. I have a wonderful community, I'm a community leader, everybody respects me. I enjoy my life. I have a good business, and I'm successful at what I do. I'm such a happy person, and now that I was saved, I can enjoy all these things. I have so much to be appreciative for. So that's the difference between the two people. So therefore, Kol Amar B'Lesaper B'Yitzias Mitzrayim, somebody spends a lot of time at the Seder and thanks Hashem a lot for the Exodus, for saving us. Hareza Meshubach. It's a sign that he's a good man. It's a sign he's got a lot to be grateful for. For somebody, the Judaism doesn't mean much to him. So he says, okay, Avodah Mayinu, okay, let's eat. But somebody who really appreciates what it means to be a Jew, really spends a lot of time in expressing his appreciation to God for everything that he has and everything that God means to him, because God saved him from Mitzrayim. But there's a third explanation. I think I've said it in class before. The word Meshubach means improved. This night, I've said it many times, this night of the Seder is a time when parents transmit to children our history, how we came to be Jewish, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, the Shvatim, the descent to Mitzrayim, the 210 years of Mitzrayim, and the Exodus and Matan Torah, and who we are and why it's so important and how fortunate we are. Shebachar Bona Mikol Hamim. To the extent that a person can pass this on to his children, what he's doing is he is strengthening the roots. He's strengthening the roots and strengthening the trunk and strengthening the branches so that the fruits can now bear fruit and bear fruit and bear fruit. All of us who are here today are here because our ancestors spent good time quality time and explaining to their children the importance of being Jewish, and they did it at a Seder. The more you tell about Yetzias Mitzrayim, what you're doing is you're creating improvement. You're increasing value to the family that you have. You're making it stronger. You'll never know when the lessons that you impart at the Seder night will bear fruit generations later, because we are now the fruit of the effort that was put in generations ago. Masa, there's a story with Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shur, Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Tarfon, that were reclining in Bnei Barak, and they told the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim Kol Halayla, a whole night, until the Talmidim came and said, Rabbi Seinu, it's already time to say Kriyash Mashal Shachris. The simple explanation is that if you don't believe that the story needs to be told, even though we know the story, nobody knew the story better than Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shur, Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Tarfon. They knew the story. They were great scholars, but nevertheless they felt it's not enough to know it. You have to re-entrench it. The Ramban says that in order to have memory, in order to remember something, it takes two steps. One is that the incident has to be embedded deeply, and then it has to be maintained. Embedding and maintaining, learning it deeply and reviewing. The learning it deeply is at the night of the Seder. That's when we teach and review the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim deeply. It's twice a day in Kriya Shema that we maintain it when we say at the end of Kriya Shema, Ani Hashem Elokeichem Asher Etzesi Eschem Eretz Mitzrayim. And there were no greater scholars than these scholars, and they spent all night talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim. They had a lot to be grateful for. They felt great gratitude. But it's interesting that why did they go to Bnei Barak? Because Bnei Barak is where Rabbi Kiva lived. It's very possible that this was very sad times. This was when the Romans were prohibiting learning Torah. You know, Rabbi Kiva died for teaching Torah publicly. So this was a time that the Romans tried to stamp out Torah. It was sad times, times when it was difficult to learn. So perhaps they decided to go to Bnei Barak and have the Seder where Rabbi Kiva was the rabbi. Rabbi Kiva was the one that never saw the moment. He always saw the big picture. If you remember, Rabbi Kiva at the end of Makot saw a fox coming out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And when everybody cried, he laughed. And he said, if I see this symbol of destruction happening, that means the words of the prophets are coming true. So the words of the prophets that the Gula will come will also come true. Rabbi Kiva was the one that the Gemara says in Gittin was able to compartmentalize everything. He was an Oitzer Bolum. Everything had its own compartment. No incident, nothing ever allowed him to cloud the entire picture, to cloud his entire life. His life was made of many parts, and every part was in its place. Rabbi Kiva was the one who always was able to find something good no matter how bad things were. So therefore they decided to celebrate the holiday of freedom, the holiday of Chayrus in Bnei Barak. Rabbi Kiva would be able to celebrate even in times like this. It is interesting that there's a machlekes between Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Loza ben Azariah till when do you eat the Korban Pesach? And telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim is when you have the objects of the mitzvahs in front of you, when you have the matzah, the mor, and the Pesach in front of you. According to Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, the Seder should be over at midnight, because he says you can only eat the Korban Pesach till midnight. But since Rabbi Akiva was the host, he was the Mor Asra, the Rav of the town, so they went along with him, and they were telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim all night until the morning. Again, they probably didn't have a Korban Pesach in Bnei Barak because they were after the it was after the Churban, but still they would have held that according to Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, all the mitzvahs of the night would end at midnight. Rabbi Loza ben Azariah went along with it, and I'm sure that he probably ate his afikomen quietly before midnight, not to insult his Rebbe, but to continue telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim until the morning. As I said before, there's two parts to the mitzvah. One part is to embed the story deeply at the Seder, and the other is to remember it twice a day. So the next piece, Rabbi Loza ben Azariah says, Hareini kiven shivim shana, I'm like a 70-year-old. You know that Rabbi Loza ben Azariah, when he became Rosh Hashiva, he was 18 years old. So Gemara in Brochos, he was appointed to replace Rabbi Gamliel. In fact, he looked like a young man. It has been said that he was a Gilgul, a reincarnation of Shmuel Hanavi. Shmuel Hanavi died when he was 52. So with Shmuel Hanavi's 52 years and Rabbi Loza ben Azariah is 18, he's Kiben Shivim Shana. He's equivalent to a 70-year-old. And he says, I never merited, I should say Yetzias Mitzrayim at night. until Ben Zoma made a drasha. The pasuk says, "L'man tizkar yamtzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim kol yimei chayecha." If it would have said yimei chayecha, the days of your life, would have meant to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim during the day. But now that there's an extra word kol, it means kol yimei chayecha, to say it even during the night. The Chachamim say that yimei chayecha means in this world, and kol yimei chayecha means even when Mashiach comes, we'll still be mentioning Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Gemara says in Brochos, well, that's how Ben Zoma served as a proof to Reb Elazar ben Azariah's idea that you should say, mention Yetzias Mitzrayim not only during Kriyash Mashal Shachris, but also during Kriyash Mashal Arvis. The Gemara says in Brachos, when Mashiach will come, we will still remember Yetzias Mitzrayim, but Yetzias Mitzrayim will be a minor, and the Geula from the Golus will be a major. Again, the Dubno Maggid has a mashal. The doctor performed a magnificent surgery and saved somebody's life, and the man made a party for the surgeon and thanked him. But 30, 40 years later, he made another party for the surgeon, and the surgeon asked him, "What's this party for?" He said, "Because when you saved my life, I thanked you for saving my life. But now that I had 30, 40 years to live, and I had so much that I accomplished, and so much that I enjoyed, and so much that I prospered, and it's all because of you, because you saved my life. So I'm making you another party to thank you for everything that I was able to have, only because you saved my life then." Today we thank Hashem for Yetzias Mitzrayim. When Mashiach will come, we will thank Hashem for taking us out of this Golus, but we will also thank Him for Yetzias Mitzrayim, because if not for Yetzias Mitzrayim having saved us then, all these years that we survived as Jews would never have happened, and we never would have made it to Mashiach's times. So I'm going to end here, and we'll continue tomorrow. I hope everybody's well, I hope everybody's good, I hope everybody's keeping in touch with each other and bringing out the best in each other. Be well, good day.